There is a moment that happens to all of us. You're in a meeting, you're with your family, you're texting someone you care about, and you feel it. That pull, that desperate need to make them understand. You start typing faster, you start talking louder, you're explaining yourself, justifying your choices, clarifying your intentions, defending your decisions. And with every word you add, with every reason you give, you feel the power drain out of your body like blood from an open wound. You thought you were building a case, you thought you were making yourself clear. But what you were actually doing was giving away your throne. The moment you explain yourself to someone, you have made them your judge. You have put your worth on trial. And no matter how good your explanation is, you have already lost. Because strong people don't explain, they decide. And the decision stands. I am going to show you why every explanation you give is an act of psychological surrender. Why Machiavelli and every master strategist in history understood that the man who must justify himself is already defeated. And I am going to give you the cognitive framework, the mental architecture, to never explain yourself again. But be warned, this will feel unnatural, it will feel rude, it will feel selfish, because you have been trained since childhood to be a good little explainer. School taught you to show your work. Your parents taught you to give reasons. Society taught you that clarity is kindness, but clarity is not kindness when it costs you your power. And the architects, the 1%, the Machiavellians, they don't explain, they command. If you are ready to stop bleeding power through your words, listen closely. Let's start with a question. Why do you explain yourself? Think about the last time you felt that urge to justify your actions. What was beneath it? Was it kindness? Was it honesty? Or was it fear? The brutal truth is this: every explanation is rooted in fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being judged. Fear of being abandoned. Fear that if they don't get it, they will leave, or punish you, or think less of you. And that fear is ancient. When you were a child, explaining yourself was survival. If you didn't have a good reason for why you broke the vase, you got punished. If you couldn't justify why you were late, you were shamed. Your brain learned a simple equation. Explanation equals safety. But you are not a child anymore, and the people around you are not your parents. Yet your nervous system still reacts like it's 1995 and mom just found the broken lamp. Someone questions your decision and your body goes into fight or flight. Your heart rate spikes, your palms sweat, and your mouth opens and you start explaining, justifying, clarifying, defending. You are trying to soothe your own anxiety by getting them to approve. But here is the problem. The more you explain, the weaker you appear. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." When you explain yourself, what do you appear to be? You appear to be someone who is unsure. Someone who needs permission, someone who can be controlled. Because confident people don't explain, they state. And the statement stands. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. You're at work. Your boss asks why you made a certain decision. The average person says, "Well, I thought about it and I considered X and I weighed Y and I talked to Z and I felt like this was the best option because of A and B and C." Now your boss is nodding, but what is he thinking? He is thinking, this person is unsure. This person is afraid of me. This person can be pushed. The architect, the Machiavellian, says this: I made the decision because it was the right call, period. No explanation, no justification, just the decision and the confidence that it was correct. Now the boss sits back. He feels the power in the room shift. He realizes this is not someone I can bully. This is someone who knows what they are doing. Or here is another example. You're in a relationship. Your partner questions why you went out last night. The weak person says, "I'm sorry, I know I should have texted, but I was with Mark and we were catching up and I didn't realize the time, and I didn't mean to make you worry, and I promise it won't happen again." What did you just do? You just handed your partner the keys to your freedom. You just admitted that you need permission to live your life. The strong person says, I went out, I'm back now, period. No apology, no justification, just the fact. And if the partner pushes, you do not escalate, you do not defend, you simply repeat. I went out, I'm back now. The repetition without emotion is the move. It signals that the conversation is over, not because you are being rude, but because there is nothing to discuss. You do not owe anyone an explanation for how you spend your time, and the moment you give one, you are training them to demand more. Now you might be thinking, but I don't want to seem like a jerk. I don't want people to think I'm cold or arrogant or unreasonable. And this is where most people trap themselves. They confuse explanation with kindness. They think that if they don't explain, they are being dismissive. But let me ask you this. When someone powerful, someone you respect, makes a decision, do they explain it to you? Does the CEO of a Fortune 500 company sit you down and walk you through his thought process? Does the general explain to the private why he gave the order? No. They make the decision and the decision stands. And you don't think they are jerks. You think they are leaders. Because leadership is not about making people feel comfortable. It is about making decisions and standing by them. Machiavelli said it best. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Now, I am not telling you to be cruel. I am not telling you to be cold. I am telling you that respect comes from decisiveness, not explanation. When you explain yourself, you are signaling that your decision is up for debate, that your judgment is questionable, that you need validation to feel secure. And people smell that. They sense the hesitation, and they pounce. Because weak people invite attack. Strong people deter it. So if you want to be treated with respect, stop explaining yourself, make the decision, stand by it, and let the silence do the work. Let's go deeper into the psychology. When you explain yourself, you are operating from a place of scarcity. You are assuming that if people don't understand you, they will abandon you. This belief comes from a wound, usually a childhood wound. Maybe your parents only gave you love when you were good, when you had a reason, when you explained yourself well. So now as an adult, you are still trying to earn that conditional love. You are still trying to prove that you deserve to exist, but here is the shift. You do not need to prove anything. You are not on trial, and the people in your life are not the jury. If someone demands an explanation from you, and you are an adult, you have the right to say, I don't owe you that. This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty. This is the recognition that your life is yours. Your choices are yours. And the only person you need to answer to is yourself. Now, this does not mean you never communicate. It does not mean you never share your reasoning. The difference is this. You share when you choose to, not when you are forced to. You explain when it serves you, not when you are afraid. The moment you feel that pull, that anxiety, that need to make them understand, that is when you stop. You take a breath, you let the silence sit, and you watch what happens. Most of the time, the other person will back down because they were testing you. They wanted to see if you would fold, and when you don't, they respect you more, not less. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He wrote, Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can come near to touch you. Translation, people judge you by how you appear, not by what you actually are. If you appear weak, if you appear unsure, if you appear desperate for approval, that is what people will believe about you. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how kind you are. If you explain yourself like a child seeking permission, you will be treated like a child. But if you carry yourself like someone who does not need validation, people will treat you like royalty, because appearance is power. And the appearance of confidence is created not by what you say, but by what you don't say. The less you explain, the more powerful you appear. This is not manipulation. This is reality. So let's talk about the cognitive armor technique. This is the framework I use to never explain myself. It has 4 layers, 4 mental defenses that you deploy whenever you feel that pull to justify. Layer 1. The recognition. The moment you feel the urge to explain, stop. Recognize what is happening. Your nervous system is in threat mode. Your brain is saying danger, disapproval, must explain. But you are not in danger. You are being tested, and the test is simple. Will you hold your ground or will you fold? The recognition is the pause. It is the moment where you catch yourself before the words leave your mouth. Layer 2. The reframe. Instead of thinking, I need to make them understand, you think, I do not need their approval. Instead of thinking, if I don't explain, they will think I'm wrong, you think, let them think what they want. My decision stands. This is the cognitive shift. You are moving from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance. You are reminding yourself that your worth is not determined by their opinion. Layer 3. The response. If someone asks you to explain yourself, you have 3 options. Option 1, redirect. You say, why do you ask? This flips the frame. Now they are explaining themselves. Option 2, repeat. You restate your decision without adding any justification. Example. I've made my choice. That's it. No but. No because. Just the decision. Option 3, silence. You say nothing, you hold eye contact. You let the discomfort sit. This is the most powerful move because silence creates psychological pressure, and most people cannot handle it. They will either back down or reveal their true intention. Layer 4. The commitment. Once you make a decision, you do not revisit it. You do not second-guess yourself. You do not explain it later when the moment has passed. The decision is final, and you move forward. This commitment is what builds unshakable confidence, because every time you stand by a decision without explaining, you train your brain that you are trustworthy, that your judgment is sound, that you do not need external validation. And over time, this becomes your default. You stop feeling the urge to explain. You stop seeking approval. You become the architect of your own reality. Now let's talk about the dark side, because there is one. When you stop explaining yourself, some people will hate you. They will call you arrogant. They will call you cold. They will say you don't care. And here's what you need to understand. Those people were never your allies. They were your managers. They wanted to control you. And the only way they could control you was by making you feel like you owed them an explanation. When you take that away, when you refuse to play their game, they panic, because now they have no leverage, and people who have no leverage become hostile. This is not your problem. This is their problem. Machiavelli said, men are so simple and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceiver will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The people who demand explanations from you are operating from their own fear. They need to understand you so they can predict you, so they can control you, so they can feel safe. But you are not responsible for their safety. You are responsible for your sovereignty. And sovereignty requires that you disappoint some people. It requires that you let some relationships die. Because not everyone is meant to come with you to the next level. Some people are anchors, and you have to cut the rope. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. You are not here to make everyone comfortable. You are here to build the life you want. And that requires that you stop caring what people think when you make a decision. The only opinion that matters is yours. And if you can internalize that, if you can truly believe that, you become unstoppable. Let me give you a real-world application. Let's say you decide to quit your job and start a business. The moment you announce this, people will demand explanations. Why are you doing this? What's your plan? How are you going to make money? Isn't that risky? The weak person tries to justify. They say, well, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've saved up some money, and I have a business plan, and I've done my research, and I think it's going to work. Now everyone is nodding. But what are they really thinking? They are thinking, this person is unsure. This person is scared. Let me tell them why this is a bad idea. Because you invited their opinion. You open the door. The strong person says, I'm starting a business. And then they stop talking. When people ask why, they say because it's time. When people ask about the plan, they say I have one. When people express concern, they say I appreciate your concern. And that's it. No justification, no defense, no explanation, just the decision and the confidence that it is the right one. And guess what happens? People respect you more. Because you didn't ask for permission, you didn't seek validation, you made the decision and you moved. And that is the energy of a winner. That is the energy of someone who architects their own destiny. And when you succeed, those same people who doubted you will claim they always believed in you. They will rewrite history. And you will smile because you know the truth. You didn't need them then, and you don't need them now. Here's another layer to this. When you explain yourself, you are giving people ammunition. You are showing them your thought process. You are revealing your fears. You are giving them a map of how to manipulate you. Every piece of information you give is a weakness they can exploit. Machiavelli understood this. He said, never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. When you explain yourself, you are laying all your cards on the table. You are making yourself predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. But when you don't explain, when you keep your reasoning to yourself, you become a mystery, and mystery is power. People cannot attack what they do not understand. They cannot manipulate what they cannot predict, so they leave you alone, or they respect you, or they fear you. And all three of those outcomes are better than being controlled. So stop giving people the manual to your mind. Keep your strategies to yourself. Make your decisions quietly. Execute without announcing. And let the results speak. Because the man who talks about what he is going to do is still in the planning phase. The man who simply does and says, nothing is already 10 steps ahead. And by the time people realize what happened, you are untouchable. Now I need to address something. Some of you are thinking, but what if I'm wrong? What if my decision was bad? Shouldn't I explain so people understand it wasn't intentional? And this is where most people sabotage themselves. They think that explaining a mistake makes them look humble. But it doesn't. It makes them look weak. Here is the truth. Everyone makes mistakes. The difference between the 99% and the 1% is how they handle those mistakes. The 99% apologize profusely. They explain what went wrong. They promise it will never happen again. They grovel. The 1% acknowledge the mistake briefly and move on. They say, I made an error. I'm correcting it. And that's it. No long-winded explanation, no emotional performance, just the acknowledgement and the correction. Why? Because mistakes are data. They are not moral failings. When you over-explain a mistake, you are attaching shame to it. You are making it bigger than it is. You are signaling that you are so afraid of judgment that you need to preemptively defend yourself. But judgment is inevitable. People will judge you whether you explain or not. So why waste the energy? Instead, own the mistake with one sentence. Then move forward. This shows confidence. It shows that you are not defined by your errors. It shows that you are focused on solutions, not excuses. And people respect that because everyone is tired of listening to excuses. They want to see action, so give them action, not explanation. Let's talk about relationships specifically, because this is where people struggle the most. In romantic relationships, friendships, and family dynamics, there is this expectation that you owe people transparency, that you need to explain your feelings, your choices, your boundaries. But here is the nuance. You can share without explaining. You can communicate without justifying. The difference is in the energy. When you share from a place of confidence, you are offering information. When you explain from a place of fear, you are seeking approval. Example, your partner is upset that you spent time with a friend instead of them. The weak response is, I'm sorry, I just really needed to see them because we haven't talked in a while and I didn't think it would be a big deal and I didn't mean to hurt you. You just apologized for having a life. You just made your partner the authority on your time. The strong response is, I spent time with my friend. I'm not sorry for that. If you're upset, let's talk about why. This is not cold. This is clear. You are not justifying your choice. You are stating it. And you are opening space for a real conversation about the actual issue, which is probably not about the friend. It is about insecurity, or control, or fear. And those things cannot be solved with explanations. They can only be solved with boundaries. So the rule is this: in relationships, share your truth when you want to, not when you are pressured to. And never apologize for being yourself. Because the moment you apologize for who you are, you teach people that you are a problem to be managed. And once you are a problem, you will spend the rest of the relationship managing their emotions. And that is not love. That is captivity. Here is a test. For the next 7 days, I want you to do this. Every time you feel the urge to explain yourself, stop. Just stop. Hold the silence. Let the discomfort sit. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to storm off. You just stop talking, and you observe what happens. You will notice 2 things. First, most people will move on. They didn't actually need the explanation. They were just testing you. Second, you will feel a strange sense of power because you just reclaimed energy that you used to leak through your words. That energy is yours now, and you can use it to build, to focus, to execute. This is the practice. This is how you train yourself to stop being an explainer and start being a decider. And I promise you, within 7 days, you will feel a shift. People will start treating you differently. They will stop questioning you. They will stop demanding justifications. Because you trained them. You showed them that you are not someone who can be controlled through guilt or pressure. You are someone who makes decisions and moves. And that energy is magnetic. It attracts respect. It attracts opportunity. It attracts people who operate on your level. And it repels the people who were never meant to be in your life anyway. Let me tell you what happens when you master this. You become untouchable, not in an arrogant way, but in a sovereign way. You stop seeking approval because you approve of yourself. You stop fearing judgment because you trust your decisions. You stop explaining yourself because you know that the right people will understand without words, and the wrong people will never understand no matter how many words you use. This is freedom. This is the architecture of a powerful mind. And the beautiful irony is this: the less you explain, the more people want to know. The less you justify, the more people trust you. Because silence is magnetic, mystery is powerful, and the person who doesn't need to prove anything has already won. So here is your new identity. You are no longer the explainer. You are the architect. You build your life in silence. You make your decisions with confidence. And you let the results speak louder than your words ever could. This is the path of the 1%. This is the path of the Machiavellian. And it starts with one simple rule: never explain yourself. Decide, execute, and let them wonder how you did it. Because the moment you stop explaining is the moment you start winning.